All right, so on this next one, we are now looking at Fox News goes woke, and they're far worse than we thought. This is on Mark Dice's video. So I tried to find the original source of this. It was
Yeah.
extremely difficult to find. I'm pretty sure Fox took it down, or I tried. I looked over their thing, and I wasn't going to scroll through the many hours of their live streams.
Yeah.
So I decided that we'll just join in on Mark Dice's video to get the idea here, and then I will let you spiral from there.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Flush on the toilet.
Here we go.
We are celebrating LGBTQ plus Pride Month by highlighting the community's culture and history.
And on this Thursday morning, we learn about Billy Beane, the only openly gay former Major League Baseball player.
Who want to do some special things. Fox News national correspondent Brian Yanis joins us now.
Some special things, highlighting gay culture. That's Fox News.
Good morning. In the 146-year history of Major League Baseball, 20,132 professional baseball players have put on a uniform, and there have only been 2 openly gay players, Glenn Burke, who came out while playing in the 70s and later died of AIDS complications, and Billy Beane.
Gee, who could have imagined that his career would have ended that way? I mean, what's next? Is Fox News going to celebrate a gay priest? Oh, wait, what's this?
June is Pride Month, and to celebrate, we are shining a spotlight on those in the LGBTQ plus community who work to encourage love and acceptance. Fox News national correspondent Brian Yanis interviewed Georgia State Senator Kim Jackson, who is also an Episcopal priest. Hey, Brian.
Naturally,
Well, State
Episcopal.
Senator Kim Jackson represents not only a historic shift in Georgia's politics, her life story teaches us all something about grace, servant leadership,
she's from here.
and courage.
Actually,
And
it teaches
Sen?
us what kind of a network Fox News is. And stay tuned because there's plenty more to come in this video. But real quick, subscribe to my channel if you're new here because obviously you're not going to find news and analysis like this anywhere else. And by the way, the Episcopal Church is
Subscribe to
a
Mark Dice,
heretical
guys.
denomination that obviously allows not only gay and lesbian and transgender priests, but they
Bishop.
endorse abortion. The denomination literally endorses abortion. Obviously, they are a satanic church, but they do call themselves Christians, so just a heads up about the Episcopalians.
God has called me to be this authentic person who is, yes, I am a lesbian, and I'm also called to pastor, and I have the great privilege of being able to serve as an elected official.
Obviously,
Just
she never read the
confused
Bible,
between
or
God
most
to
likely
Satan.
doesn't care what it says, because the Episcopal Church is an abomination. And it's not just in the Old Testament, like
Amen,
most people
brother.
think, in the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 13, but also the New Testament, Romans, chapter 1, verse 26 through 27,
Revelation.
and 1 Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. But it gets even worse because Fox News is literally a sponsor for LA Pride, the very organization that is organizing the Pride Night at Dodger Stadium,
Okay, stop
which is
there.
hosting the
Okay.
drag queen.
Got it.
I give a little background. My wife talked me into going to the Episcopal Church. Actually, it was before we were married. She was an Episcopalian. Talked me to going to one here in Rochester, New Hampshire. And which I didn't want to go. I said, I have a problem with the corporate church, if you will. I says, I do my Bible studies in a gun store. I'll do it at a feed market. I'll do it at the parking lot. I don't care. So what happens is she gets me to go. I love the people in the congregation. They're great. It was a small, older congregation, nice. And I wasn't as old as I am now. This was 20-some years ago. And so we go in there. So we're leaving. And she goes, so what do you think? And I go, that church is in trouble. And she goes, what do you mean they're in trouble? I said, first, there's no Bibles in the pew. They use what's called a Book of Common Prayer, which they don't even have that in all the pews. I said, and the priest's message was wishy-washy. It was like nothing. And so it ended up, we went on, and then, so I kept going. And then my wife calls me. She's in they're going to elect a bishop, elevate a new bishop in New Hampshire for the Diocese of New Hampshire, because it's set up like Catholic Light. And so what happens is this new bishop that they're going to elevate is a gay guy who had divorced his wife, left his wife and kids, and then ended up tying up with another guy in a homosexual relationship. So they want to make him the bishop, which completely in the scriptures that he was posting here on this flies in the face of what God says. He calls it an abomination, actually. So anyways, so we go through the whole thing, it ends up they fire the priest that's in the church for something else. He didn't do anything really wrong, but he was from another state. It's all the politics of church, which is part of the reason I have a hard time with it.
Right.
And they get away from the scriptures and they follow the politics. I ended up becoming the senior warden, and I called a vote after months of berating for not accepting. I wouldn't let the bishop speak in the church. And I said, you can sit in the pews, but you don't get to go up the front because what you're practicing is completely against the scriptures. And so we went through this whole thing. It ended up all over the news. I ended up on 60 Minutes with it, me and a couple of the other people from the church. And I called an illegal vote, and we were the very first Episcopal church. Mind you, I'd only been there like maybe a year at that point, 8 months. And they had elected me their senior warden and all this, which is like second in command over the church on earth. And I said, I know I'm calling it an illegal vote, but I want to know who in the parish wants to, which is the congregation, Episcopalian or Catholic terms, and who wants to stay and be under the control of his name is Gene Robinson, and I wouldn't recognize him as a bishop, and scripturally he's not, and so all but two said let's go. So we dropped our keys, left everything. People had been in that church their whole lives. We went off, and then we went to another building, to a Baptist church, actually. It let us run opposite services of theirs. We're the first one in the country to leave. I told my wife, I said, you let me invite me into the church, and that kind of stuff was going on. That's a problem for me because I absolutely believe in the scriptures to be true, and that we're to be obedient to them. And and I'm talking about the Episcopal Church. You got this lesbian up there who has no. That's what Jesus he called the church in Israel when it was running up against what his father told them to do. He called them the synagogue of Satan, and that's exactly what the Episcopal Church has turned into, is the church of Satan, and because they're doing his work and all this LGBT nonsense. And I'm thinking as I'm watching the hosts on Fox, is they're always talking about their Catholicism, because I forgot the guy on the right. He's pretty big on sports, and then Ainsley in the middle is pretty big. She's a Christian gal. Is talking on their faith, and I'm thinking, so how on earth do you read the scriptures and get that it's okay to throw a millstone or a stumbling block out in front of people to say that that's okay?
Right.
And you help celebrate that? You help celebrate something that is an abomination to God? I'm telling you, everybody thinks, oh, by grace I'm saved and I'm going to go to heaven no matter what. No matter how much I sin. Well, tell that to Satan. Tell that to Judas Iscariot. Tell that to Ananias and Sapphira if you read Acts.
Yep.
It's
Ananias and Sapphira. There's a story that nobody knows.
Yeah. Drop them dead, and for lying to the Holy Spirit. So it's there is a moral battle going on, and in Ephesians it talks about that, right? The battle's not between men. It's a battle of principalities, powers in high places. That's the battle we're in. And if we don't recognize who the real enemy is, because the one pushing all this nonsense, whether anybody believes it or not, is irrelevant to me, but it's Satan.
Right.
And he's pushing this nonsense, and he's rebelling against God, and he's brought it to earth, and he's causing this people. I mean, he is Prince of the Air, so I guess him helping out Fox, Satan do their broadcast, I guess that's okay too. It kind of makes sense if he's Prince of the Air, or if you count the airwaves as part of the air. And the dishonesty though of the hosts on that show right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, because I've heard Ainsley and Brian is his name, is on Fox, come out and outspokenly talk about their faith and all this great stuff, but when it comes to where the rubber meets the road,
right?
If it's not fun and loving and acceptable, they fall down. I mean, Brian didn't look too happy on that newscast, but and I don't know how they could be. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. I'd go fire me.
Yeah.
Get somebody else to go in. I'm not doing it. I'm
Right.
not supporting that nonsense. I am not going to try to cause anybody on earth to sin. I'm going the other way. I'm trying to get them not to sin. I'm not going to say it's okay because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, burning in hell or the lake of fire is where they say in Revelation might not be in their best interest. So you might want to try to steer them clear of that. And if they're sinning, which is the point, even Jesus's comments when he said, first remove the plank from your eye before you try to help your brother remove the speck from his. So, but he doesn't say not to help your brother remove the speck. Just make sure you don't have a plank in your own. And this no judgment, tolerant stuff, that's all Satan crap. And
Right.
and Fox has completely slipped off the rails. I mean, completely slipped off the rails. I don't know how anybody who's ever read the scriptures and is ever going to have any regard for how those newscasters handled that interview, because it's just
Right.
it's they're going up against God.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they're going up against, not us. It's God.
Right.
And they can have that fight if that's what they want. They're not going to win it though.
Right. All right. So if you guys like this content and you don't like the direction that Fox News is going in, comment down below. Like and subscribe, and see you guys on the next one.